Did you ever think of how hard it would be to fight for a position at 200 miles per hour and also run a full-tech interface at the same time? How do these F1 drivers shift gears, change engine modes, break balances, talk to the pit wall, and also, most importantly, stay alive? All with a steering wheel of the size of a dinner plate? That sounds insane, right? Well, that's not the only thing. This F1 steering wheel is over $100,000 and is crammed with over 20 buttons, built from carbon fiber and custom fitted like a surgeon's glove to the driver. It's like almost you're flying a fighter jet, blindfolded, and you're in traffic. And I bet you're not ready for what you're about to see in the end, so keep watching. But first, I wanted to show you how important these small buttons are. One small click and it can make you win or it can make you lose as well. Let's take a real example of how one button, just one, can change everything. Baku 2021, Lewis Hamilton is restarting the race with just a couple of laps to go. He's in P2, positioned to take the lead after a red flag. But right after the restart, he accidentally activates a setting called Brake Magic. Now, this isn't some dramatic label, it's a legitimate function used to warm up the front brakes during slow laps. It shifts most of the braking power to the front axle, which is helpful when tires are cold. But in a race situation, it's a disaster. When Hamilton hit the brakes into turn 1, the fronts locked immediately. No traction, no chance to turn. He ran straight on and dropped from a potential win to finishing outside the points. All because of a button press. So here's the question. Could you, under the level of pressure, remember which button to touch and which ones not to? Let's rewind the clock. Picture this, it's 1950. Back then, the U were supposed to be holding a massive wooden wheel the size of a pizza tray. No buttons, no electronics, just raw hands-on machine connection. That thing wasn't a control system, it was a piece of furniture. Back then, a Formula 1 steering wheel was circular, polished wood, with maybe a leather wrap if you were lucky. The idea of adjusting brake, bias, or engine modes mid-race? Science fiction. You drove with your hands, your ears, and pure mechanical sympathy. But slowly, quietly, things began to change. In the 70s, suede replaced leather. The grip got better, the wheels got smaller. Then came a little red toggle switch, the ignition kill switch. The first button, that's when it started. A flick here to stop the engine. Harmless, right? But the snowball had begun. Fast forward to 1989, Ferrari shows up with something wild on the 640. Paddle shifters. Game changed. Nigel Mansell doesn't reach down for gears anymore. He just flicks two carbon paddles behind the wheel. Suddenly, both hands stay locked on all the time. And within a few seasons, every team copies it. F1 just got digital. By the mid-90s, buttons were multiplying. Radios, engine maps, different settings. Schumacher's Benetton B194 had more brain power in the wheel than most road cars had in total, and it kept escalating. In the early 2000s, Ferrari introduced rotary dials, the famous Manettino, letting drivers switch fuel mixture modes like they're scrolling through Spotify. McLaren fits tiny LED screens. Williams starts programming pit stop sequences. The wheel isn't a wheel anymore. It's a remote control for a missile. Then, boom! 2014 hits. Hybrid era. Everything changes. Now the steering wheel is a living computer. It's managing turbo deployment, ERS harvest, MGUK boost, battery states, cooling maps, while the driver brakes into turn 1 at 5G. The shape? No longer round. These things are molded for grip, compact, brutalist, sculpted like sci-fi joysticks. You don't turn them, you command them. Carbon fiber shells, titanium internals. Cost? Between $50,000 and $100,000 per wheel. And they're custom fit. Every grip, button, paddle designed around the driver's hand geometry, finger travel, and even muscle memory. This is no longer about comfort, it's combat. Every button has a purpose, every dial controls something critical. And when you're pulling 300 kilometers per hour through Eau Rouge, you better hit the right one, because this isn't just about turning the car. A modern F1 steering wheel is not just a tool for turning the car. It's the brain of the whole operation. On average, it carries between 20 and 25 inputs: buttons, rotary switches, toggles, and paddles, and every single one has a specific job. You've got brake balance controls, which let the driver shift braking force forward or backward, depending on the demands of each corner. Then come the differential settings, split into entry, mid-corner, and exit to control how torque is distributed to the rear wheels, which can completely change how the car behaves in tight turns or long sweepers. Rotary dials adjust engine modes, fuel mixtures, hybrid energy deployment, and recovery. These aren't random settings. Most are pre-programmed by the team into coded configurations, so the driver just selects from known presets based on strategy. Want a few extra tenths to make an overtake? Turn up the strat mode. Want to conserve tires for the long game? Dial it back. And that's just the start. There are buttons for DRS, pit limiter, neutral, screen configuration, tire profile selection, clutch bite point, and even the driver's drink system. Yes, there's a button just for hydration. But even that can go wrong. Just ask Kimi Raikkonen. During the 2018 French Grand Prix, Kimi was mid-race, hot, focused, and clearly thirsty. When asked about his drink system over the radio, the engineer dryly responded, no, Kimi, you will not have the drink." That moment instantly became a meme, but it highlights something very real. In the middle of controlling every system on a rocket ship at 300 kilometers per hour, drivers are still managing basic needs like staying hydrated with a button press. And if even that doesn't work, well, tough luck. So when we talk about multitasking, this isn't checking your mirrors while changing lanes. It's precision cockpit management, done while hurtling toward a braking zone, with tire wear changing lap by lap, fuel weight shifting, and 19 other drivers looking to take your position. It's not just about driving the car, it's about controlling a high-speed, high-tech organism in real time with your thumbs. Here's what makes all those controls even more mind-blowing. They're tiny. These aren't big, colorful arcade buttons. They're small, stiff, and tightly packed. Each one is surrounded by a race guard to prevent accidental presses, because a single wrong input could ruin a race, and this isn't happening in a calm, quiet environment. We're talking about adjusting settings while bouncing over curbs, pulling 5Gs in a braking zone, and trying to stay millimeters away from the wall at places like Monaco. There's zero time for hesitation. That's why teams use high-resistance, aircraft-grade switches that give a satisfying mechanical click through thick gloves and vibration. And behind the wheel, there can be up to 8 paddles, gear shifts, brake bias tweaks, clutch modulation, and more, all placed exactly where the driver expects them. This isn't guesswork, it's engineered intuition. Front and center on the wheel is a screen no bigger than your phone, but it's packed with more critical data than most road car dashboards combined. It shows gear, speed, delta times, energy deployment, brake temps, tire pressures, engine warnings, and more, updating constantly in real time. Above it, a row of multicolored LEDs tell the driver exactly when to shift. Green, red, purple, blink, and you miss it. Some settings are so specific, the display changes per track, per session, even per lap. During a race, drivers will scroll through screens, confirm strategy changes, and monitor car health, all while defending position at 300 kilometers per hour. It's not just a display, it's a mission control terminal, built for war at full throttle. Let me ask you this, could you scroll through 6 menus, hit the right button blindfolded, and still thread a car through a chicane with millimeter accuracy? F1 drivers can. Every tap, twist, and shift is part of the performance, and if it looks like they're just driving, it's because they're making it look easy. Flip an F1 steering wheel around and you'll find some of its most critical and underrated features. You've got your standard shift paddles, right for upshifts, left for downshifts. But that's just the beginning. Some wheels include extra paddles for quick brake bias tweaks, so drivers can fine-tune front to rear braking on the fly without even lifting a hand. Others are configured for DRS activation, differential presets, or custom launch settings. And then there's the double clutch system, 2 paddles, 1 on each side. Why two? Because depending on the angle a driver enters the pit box, one hand might be busy. It's a detail most people would never think about, but in F1, every detail matters. The back of the wheel isn't just an afterthought, it's an extension of the driver's instincts, designed to deliver split-second commands without ever breaking flow. Picture a lap at Silverstone, 5.8 kilometers of high-speed history with 18 corners that demand total precision. The average speed, around 249 kilometers per hour. And during that lap, a driver isn't just steering and accelerating, he's managing a full suite of systems, adjusting brake balance, toggling power unit modes, changing differential settings, activating the DRS at just the right spots. On average, drivers make around 30 gear shifts in a single lap here. Add in all the other micro adjustments, and you're looking at dozens of inputs per minute, all while navigating corners like Maggots, Beckett's, and Chappelle, where a single misjudgment can destroy a lap. This isn't just driving, it's choreography under pressure. Like performing a concerto at full speed with 19 other maestros trying to play louder and faster. When Lewis Hamilton joined Ferrari, one of the very first things he asked for wasn't more power or setup changes. It was a completely redesigned steering wheel, because for Hamilton, the wheel isn't just a tool, it's muscle memory. Every button, dial, paddle, and toggle needs to be exactly where his fingers expect it, even with gloves on and his heart rate at 180. He prefers a compact, close-knit layout, no reaching, no guessing. The clutch bite point paddles at the rear were shaped slightly to match the feel he had at Mercedes. Even the friction curve on the left paddle used during starts was fine-tuned to replicate what he's used to. Leclerc, by contrast, runs a more spacious and traditional setup. His buttons are spread out, offering more separation between key controls, something that reduces accidental inputs but requires more hand movement. His clutch paddles have a different tension profile, and his default diff and strat switches are positioned further apart, in line with his driving rhythm. During post-season testing, the two reportedly did something almost unheard of. They swapped wheels and gave each other feedback. Hamilton wanted certain Ferrari systems mapped similarly to his old setup, and the team blended elements of both styles. Some controls moved to mirror what Hamilton was used to, but he also adapted to a few Ferrari-specific features, like the scrolling logic of the PU modes. The result? Two drivers using the same base hardware but driving it like two completely different instruments. One tight, fast, and instinctive. The other spaced out, deliberate, and methodical. Same car, same wheel, two philosophies. So next time you see a driver reach for a dial mid-corner, remember this: they're not just driving, they're programming a machine in real time while fighting for every tenth. It's not just talent, it's total mastery over chaos. Now tell us, what's the wildest steering wheel moment you've seen in F1? Drop it in the comments, hit like if your mind's officially blown, and subscribe for more breakdowns of what makes these drivers the most elite operators on the planet. Because in Formula 1, the race isn't just won on the track, it's won right here in their hands.